Hello and welcome to another exclusive interview for M4A Africa. Today we are focusing on the Talon. We are joined by Scott Miller, the vocalist. How are you doing? Are you comfy? Welcome on in.
Yeah, I'm good. Pretty comfy. Like I said, just nursing a bit of a cold, but that's expected. The only cure is to not have friends and to not interact with them, but we can't have that, can we?
Yeah, no, that is very true. Most important question, let's start this off. Are you excited for
Cool.
M4A Africa?
Yes, very. I think we're all pretty excited. It's not my first time playing metal for Africa. I think it's my kind of third show, and then with the band, it is in fact our third show. So, yeah, we couldn't be more excited to play a festival. It's a little intimidating, being the opener, especially for a band that isn't a cut and dried metal act, but we're looking forward to it. But yeah, I suppose the upside is that if you play first, you can take your time with setup and you can hammer out any kinks and soundcheck, and then you can enjoy the rest of the festival and not have to think about your set. So that's cool.
Yeah. And Talon is a fairly fresh band. You guys debuted November last year in 2023. But despite you guys being fresh, you guys have, all your members have prior experience with bands like Past Horns, Bottom Feeder,
Correct.
and A Life Below. So with all that experience combined, what is it culminated in, and how would you describe the music that your band makes?
So I think straightforwardly, I would call us a metallic hardcore band, and then we're maybe a little bit closer to kind of Every Time I Die, Cancer Bats, He Is Legend, rather than like Crowbar or Hatebreed or something like that. So there's an element of that kind of party hardcore that we all enjoy. I don't think any of us had, we knew what our influences were, which is it's fairly diverse, I think, for metal and punk. But I don't think we had a very specific conception of what we wanted to do or sound like. Just that it needed to be enjoyable and catchy, not inarticulate noise. We're not trying to be full of hell or something. And then maybe some degree of latitude for unconventional sounds or directions. So yes, occasionally a very stupidly heavy breakdown, but maybe something clean or something progressive or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think Hateful Thing is actually a pretty good representation of where we are at the moment. There's kind of all these elements that you would expect from a metallic hardcore band, but there's a catchiness and an accessibility too, even a bit of like a rock and roll attitude. But yeah, we'll see where things take us. We're still fresh, finding our feet. Don't really know what we're going to sound like in a year or 2 years or 6 months, but we'll find out.
Yeah. So how did everyone meet up? What's the
On
story?
Hinge.
On Hinge.
No. Something like that would actually be great. I am a single drummer seeking a prog metal guitarist, must be smoke free and like cats. But I'd invest in that. But no, I've known Brett for ages from the Cape Town metal scene. I was in Past Horns with him, and I met Steve through Noisefix. I remember writing a review for the site at some point that turned into kind of a hatchet piece because I hated the album. I'm definitely on some band's shit list in America. And then, yeah, Brett and Marku knew each other from work, and Sepia joined after we opened up for auditions to find a drummer. So, yeah, originally it was Brett and Steve and Marku all kind of jamming, and then I joined, and then we auditioned to find a drummer, which is like finding a unicorn.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
That can be quite the hassle, especially when it's the last member you need. It's like, why does that have to be the hardest? But let's start with introductions. You've mentioned a lot of names, and let's get people to know who's everyone. Let's start with you,
Cool.
Scott Miller. What's your previous music history before joining the band?
Cool. So yeah, I'm Scott. I'm on vocals. So I was in a band with Brett called Past Haunts on drums, and I screamed incoherently into a mic for a very short-lived power violence band called Bottom Feeder. I'm kind of glad I'm playing average length songs now. It's 30 seconds to 1 minute is a lot more intense than you think it's going to be. Yeah, so that's what I did. So the Talon is my kind of third band, and yeah, that's me.
And apart from your vocals and being the face for this interview, is there anything else you bring to the band?
So I think we all are very invested in the band and contribute in different but equal ways. I think especially vocalists have a tendency to kind of sit back and contribute the bare minimum, but in my mind, I don't think I do that, and I don't think the rest of the band does that. I think we all are very involved in the creative process, in promoting, in organizing shows, etc. Definitely some more than others. But I think I try to do what is needed when it's needed. So, for example, if there's an extra piece of gear that, for example, if there's no backline where we're going, I'm very happy to give up some gear, provided, bands are fairly gentle on that gear. And yeah, just I try to offer kind of, I think we all do a kind of creative oversight and an intimacy with what we're producing. So there are definitely people who kind of, not in the band, but in larger bands, who have kind of sat back and done nothing, and they tend to not last very long. I think it's very much a cooperative effort, and everybody needs to do something. So I don't feel like I do as much as necessarily the other guys, but I try to do as much as possible.
And now, a really important question, and totally not confusing at all. What's the color to your success?
Right. I did have to think about this one.
Interpret it how you wish.
Sure. Okay. So I think it's going to be my personal viewpoint on that. And I think it may sound a bit banal, but there's a saying that the meaning you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. And I think that there's some truth to that. I think just as we all do, I have a life outside the band, and sometimes even one's passions and interests can feel like demands on scarce time. But I think that is when it is most important to throw yourself into work, even if it's challenging, because it'll reward your desire for meaning, which I think is pretty vital to dealing with the drudgery of life. I think as my life, and certainly everyone else's lives, become increasingly busy and stressful, creativity needs to be seen as a habit that takes practice and commitment, even if it feels hard at the time. So part of my color to success, the way that I would interpret this, is that I'm going to minimize all distractions as much as possible. I love my wife, but I need her to leave my room, and I need to focus on lyrics or vocals or production or whatever. Close Twitter. I won't call it X. All social media for that matter. And just throw yourself into it. And it might take 10 to 15 minutes, but you will feel better for it after, 2 hours have passed, seemingly unnoticed. So I think that's part of it. It's definitely creating. I think refinement comes later, and that similarly takes a lot of commitment and attention to detail. I think an important part of success is just stop visualizing it, stop planning, and just start doing it. Start creating something. And then in a band setting, I think that just being open and honest with oneself and others, having a kind of unvarnished approach to communication goes a long way. None of us can read each other's minds yet, so maybe enough time will pass that we'll develop a kind of weird mutual telepathy in the Talon, but we're not there yet. So speak your mind. I'm sure, even if it's scary, and I'm sure people will understand.
That was a lot more in depth than I was thinking of when I'd asked that. I was expecting an answer of just like black. Cool. Move on. I really love that answer. Thank you for that.
Cool.
Let's go on to the next member. On guitars, we got Marco. You're going to have to help me with this. Boshoff, yeah. Boshoff.
Or Boshoff. He might have words with me later for destroying that.
Well, we could find that later.
Yeah.
So what's his previous music history before joining the Talon?
So I was quite surprised to learn that this is in fact Marco's first band, and he's killing it. Yeah, there's no previous act that I can speak to or that he has any recollection of, but yeah, this is his first band, and yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah. And now again, you mentioned Hateful Things, and he worked on the music video for that. I had a quick look at
He
it.
did.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
Is there anything else he brings to the band apart from the guitar and doing the music video?
Yeah, so Marku is a professional videographer by day, and he definitely brings that experience to bear in a significant way on the Talon. He, as you mentioned, put together the music video, he directed, shot, and edited that, and he'll often take footage at practice or whenever is kind of interesting or convenient. And then that's kind of later realized as, content for the band. He's also a kind of quiet riff machine, and he's just, even if he doesn't say very much, he's fairly reserved, but he's kind of tinkering away in the background, and that's the impression that I get from him. So we all work on BandLab, which is a browser-based DAW, and yeah, just every so often he'll pop up a riff or an idea, just something to kind of keep us going. He's not the only writer in the band, but yeah, just always tinkering away in the background.
No, that's very nice. For those who haven't seen the video for Hateful Things, I will post a link in the bottom. Go check it out. It's really awesome. How would you describe Marku in 3 words?
Well, I've already mentioned that he's quiet, and I will say that he is mysterious and productive.
Quite mysterious and productive. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then on your other set of guitars, you have Brett Allen White. Now, what's their previous music history? I believe you did mention a bit, but yeah.
Right, so Brett's been active in the scene for decades at this point, as long as I can remember, or was old enough to go to gigs. I can't recall every single band that he's been a part of, but he was in a band called The Doppler Effect, which certain members of your audience may associate with, Weinberg Sports Club, the glory days. That band then became AB Turbo, and we were in Past Haunts together, and it was a band called Armor, originally Armor for Nightmares, a kind of post-hardcore project. And yeah, he's been in bands for ages.
Yeah, and what does he bring to the band apart from his guitar?
Yeah, so he used to play bass in Past Haunts and previous projects. He's now on rhythm, and he and Marku both are very talented and write the music together, which is, very often the kind of blueprint for a song. It has to start from somewhere, and generally that is a riff. I don't think that's particularly unique. I think Brett does his utmost to kind of promote us and our shows. He contributes designs. Him and Steve both worked on the cover for Hateful Thing, as well as the t-shirt design and various other elements. It'll sound kind of funny, but he and Steve are very firmly our band daddies. They're very organized, they're very communicative, and they're very productive people. They tend to get things done. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we'll get onto Steve in just a bit, but a quick question.
Cool.
If Brett was founded on a stranded island, what 3 items do you think he would have on him?
I'm glad that I was at least a little bit prepared for this one, because it did take some thought. So in Brett's case, I think because it's the island and island life, he would definitely have a Speedo. He would have most likely a case of dark rum, let's say Don Papa, not Red Heart or something like that, and then his wife and cats, which I'm kind of using as one item, his family. Let's do that. Yeah.
Awesome. Now let's get on to Stephen Ilbury. Steve, you mentioned part of NoiseFix. He founded NoiseFix over a decade ago, and with his partners have been helping local and international bands for hardcore for tours in South Africa, which has been like a great asset for the metal community here. So yeah, anything else you think you can add on to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want to know a little bit more about Steve and NoiseFix, I guess, I have a lot of appreciation for what Steve and his partners have done over the years. Shout out Peter Jordan as well for his hard work and dedication, as well as Richard Staub for the bands that they bring here. And yeah, it's been amazing to see the group grow, and we've been really fortunate to see some of the bands that they've managed to bring down. Regret Grind is a personal favorite. I was listening to them from a very young age, and I never thought I'd see the day where that would happen. I lost a piercing at that show, so thank you to Steve and Peter and everybody. um, yeah, and then on the side, I mean, Steven is also comes from a very kind of impressive pedigree when it comes to bands. Um, he was in Tides, Provider, Life Below, Face First, and now the Talon. So yeah, he's been busy. He's a very busy boy.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's got time for us.
Yeah, being your basis for your band, and I'm sure a
Yeah.
great asset for booking shows. Is there anything else he brings to
Yeah.
the band?
Yeah, really a huge amount. What I've kind of said previously applies here as well. Steve and Brad are very much our band daddies, and every band needs one, or in our case two. Steve specifically works in marketing within the advertising industry, and much of that experience kind of supervenes here. He's organizing shows, he's promoting those shows, he's ensuring that we're informed and organized and as effective as we can possibly be. Yeah, I think he really does work kind of around the clock to ensure that we're run as a kind of small enterprise. And in that sense, the band's got a kind of corporate sheen and professionalism that I've never really experienced before in a band, and I really appreciate that. I'm grateful to him and certainly Brett as well for contributing to that. It feels the most well-oiled of kind of all the bands that I've been in.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, another very important, not confusing question at all. I'm very curious about your answer. What kind of animal do you think they would be?
So I think that I don't know if you've met Steven, but he's a very tall bloke, and I'm a very short bloke, so he's exceptionally tall by my standards. One might be tempted here to exaggerate that height even further by saying, he's a giraffe or whatever. As cliche as it might sound, I think a bird of prey, say an owl, would work very well here, which is also happens to be our kind of logo, I suppose. And I say that because there's kind of a vigilance, there's a kind of panoramic, awareness to what he does. There's an attention to detail, and he also has this kind of go out and get it attitude as well, which really ties in with being an owl, I suppose.
Yeah, and then for last but not least, having a bit of trouble of finding him to start the band, Sepia van der Merwe.
Yeah.
So
right.
You pretty much found him last, but what is his previous music history?
So I kind of hit a bit of a stumble with this one because I'm not particularly familiar with the bands that Sepia has been in before, but I'm sure that whatever band he has he has been a part of, he was a great asset to them. But yeah, I'm not too sure about the specifics of his band history, but he definitely has been in bands. Not an exciting answer, I know. I'm sorry.
No, any answer is the correct answer, as interviews go, I think. And now, what do they bring to the band apart from their drums?
Right. So, I think an important element that Sepia brings is, like I said, I think we all contribute in different but equal ways. But I think something that shines through with Sepia is that he just has the right attitude. Musicianship certainly matters to a point, but also people can get better over time. But if there are any personal disagreements and kind of thorny, headstrong, domineering personalities, the band will probably fall apart or retreat into some sort of obscure bedroom project, likely with kind of semi-abused session musicians filling in the gaps. The idea of a band tends to obscure the fact that it's a collection of individuals and that it's a cooperative effort between them. And those individuals need to have the right attitude and way of being that is kind of commensurate with the success that you're aiming for. So Sepia, in my opinion, has these qualities. He's easygoing, but he's not a pushover. He's very positive to a fault. He's very dedicated. And he's kind of like our hype man in a way. He can be counted upon to show up and give everything he can to the performances. And I personally couldn't ask for a better drummer. But beyond that, I couldn't ask for a better personality in the band. I think the rest of us are quite kind of dour in comparison. And I don't know, Sepia makes the whole atmosphere of the band quite jovial and inviting, but also very deadly serious when it comes to execution.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the rest of us are a bit grumpy, and Sepia is a little ray of light in the darkness.
That's a wonderful description. There'll be an array of light in the darkness. What kind of Star Wars character do you think best reflects him?
Nice segue. I think Han Solo is actually a pretty good fit because he's got this goofy charm and similarly like quite a positive attitude. But I don't know, Han's also a little bit aloof and he's got a bit of a rough exterior. But either way, I think it fits. Very much a force for good. I think that's what comes up for me.
So now we know the band. What after Metal for Africa? What is going to be next on your plate to do?
Cool. So we're setting aside probably 3 months or so after Winterfest to write and record new material. The songs are basically done, but we'll need to do some pre-production and book studio time, etc. So we're doing that with a view to a later release, perhaps at the late in the year or next year. But yeah, if you'd like to hear them early in their current form, then come to Winterfest before we polish them up.
Yeah, so lots of stuff to look forward to. Metal for Africa Winterfest 2024 happening on the 27th of July. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, what are you doing? There will be a link below. Go get your tickets.
Get 'em.
So, Metal for Africa, you've played it before. What are you looking forward to the most for this coming festival?
I enjoy just seeing the metal community kind of out in full force, and I feel like it's a very kind of positive, inviting, and kind of enjoyable festival. I think the lineups are always stellar. I haven't seen Megalodon in many years. I'm glad that they're back and headlining. I've got some friends in Orphean Passage, and I can't wait to see them. And I think all the bands on the bill are fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to what they bring to the festival. I'm looking forward to not playing a 10 to 15 minute set because I feel like that's probably a little bit too short. But it's Power Violence; it can't be helped. So looking forward to playing. As we've discussed, we're a pretty fresh band. I wasn't kind of expecting to get onto the bill, but we gave it a shot and thought, why not? And just grateful for the opportunity.
I'm going to be looking forward to listening to you up on stage.
Thanks.
Anything you want to tell our viewers before we sign off?
Sure. So our debut single, Hateful Thing, is out on all platforms, as well as the music video, which you can catch on YouTube, and we'd appreciate everyone checking that out, as well as our set at Winterfest. Expect plenty more material soon. We're not going anywhere. We're just getting started, and looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you, Scott, so much for joining us.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Come through to Metal for Africa to see the Talon live. They'll be starting off the set at 5 p.m. Check the links below for more info on the Talon and their work. Cheers. And I'll see you all on the 27th for a place of friendship and metal. Cheers.
Swallow